Jeff Cowan here. Thanks for watching and listening. When the big chain bagel store came to town, it was very similar to the family-owned independent bagel store that had been here for years. It hired people that lived in the same area just like the independent did, had the same amount of square footage, it sat directly across a very busy street with equal accessibility and frontage, and had bagels that were better or not as good as the family-owned store depending on who you talked to. In short, and on the surface, it seemed to making a decision as to which bagel store you wanted to visit would depend more on which direction you were traveling on that street than it did with who made them. As a matter of fact, the independent actually had the advantage since more people passed on his side of the street in the morning on their way to work when most bagels are purchased. However, within 2 years, the independent was gone. Why? Easy. The independent insisted on doing things the way they had always had and refused to respond to the ever-changing marketplace. Now here's what I mean. When visiting the big chain, they offered bagel breakfast sandwiches with eggs, bacon, sausage, and the like. The independent said that if people wanted that, they would go to the fast food places. The big chain offered not just coffee, but a variety of coffee drinks. The independent said that if people wanted that, they would visit Starbucks. The big chain offered a variety of other bagel products and sandwiches later in the day and until 6 at night to keep customers coming in all day instead of just in the morning. The independent chose not to do that because their employees did not want to work later in the day. The big chain has an ordering process that involves one person asking your name, taking your order, and then moving you up a line that takes you by other impulse products until you reach the cashier. Now once at the cashier, they refer to you by name and build a little rapport, time permitting. And even though they do this in a manner that took less time to do than when the independent did it, the independent refused to do it that way and stuck to an old, cumbersome way of doing things out of comfort. Now, as I've already noted, the independent is gone. Even though they had a loyal customer base that they had built over 10 years, they went out of business. Not because they had a bad location, bad employees, or a bad product, but simply because they refused to change and adapt. Now, here's what is really sad. I believe the independent could have not only survived, but actually excelled had they mimicked what the big chain did. And they could have done so with very little additional expense since they already had all of the equipment necessary to match them tit for tat. Now, could this happen to you? Yes. And as a matter of fact, it already has. How many of the chain stores in your area offer Saturday hours, have world-class displays, offer walk-arounds, offer products and accessories that the customers actually buy, and have a training program that shows their employees how to professionally handle their customers, your customers? I can answer that question for you now. They all do if they're a big chain. How do you think they got to be a big chain in the first place? They're betting on you being just like the independent bagel store that wouldn't and now doesn't. Thanks for watching and listening. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's the way I see selling from my perspective.